Caps here live from the downtown Omni in Dallas. SEC Media Days, day 3, 12 down, 4 to go. We started off this morning. Kalen DeBoer, the honeymoon is still going on. Everything is great in Tuscaloosa, in Dallas. We met Nacho Alabama in his Alabama sriracha and his sledgehammer that said rat poison on there, like a big block of cheese. Great. Mississippi State came up today. Also, we had Billy Napier, Florida. Nothing to see here. Keep moving along. And Steve Sarkisian, Texas. Their first time to be a member of the SEC at SEC Media Days. We'll throw it to Ken. Mr. College Football, Tony Barnhart will join us here in just a few minutes, and I'm going to come back to Ken. But, Ken, what are your takeaways from what you saw so far today in Dallas? Because you see a lot that most people don't see.
Well, think of it this way. Right there in that room, in one room, we had 3 of the 4 college football playoff coaches. We had Nick Saban.
Yep.
We had Steve Sarkisian, a.k.a. Sark.
Yep, the Sark.
And we had Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah.
All right there in that room.
Yeah.
With me and you.
Yep.
With me and you. And
yeah. It was pretty cool.
500 or more of our closest friends.
Yeah.
But I thought that was really cool.
I did.
The only guy missing was Harbaugh.
Yeah. And Sankey said he did not want to come to SEC Media Days.
Greg Sankey kind of made a little snarky comment.
Funny man,
Harbaugh.
Greg Sankey. Yes.
But I thought that was really neat that they were all 3 there. And of course, I thought it was very classy that both DeBoer and Sark paid homage to Saban.
Yes.
And Sark just made it clear. He goes, "Look, I wouldn't be here without Coach Saban."
Yeah.
And that's true.
Yeah.
That's 100% true. And, I got up and asked DeBoer a question. Of course, I hope you noticed that I snuck in that congratulations on winning the Football Writers Association of America Coach of the Year Award.
Yep.
So I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that because
Yep.
That was a great ceremony last year. And but I thought it was an amazing time. You're right. The honeymoon, DeBoer is still undefeated. Alabama. Undefeated.
Everything's great.
Everything's wonderful. I think he's going to do great, though. I really do. And the players he brought were just, Malachi Moore, Jalen Milroe, Ty
Booker.
Yeah, Booker. They were just all so great. And of course, here's what I ask all of them.
Yeah.
This was so fun. I asked them all, so what do you think of Coach Saban's prediction that it's going to be Georgia and Texas in the SEC championship game?
Yeah.
And I got some really great answers. So the one I really liked that sounded just like Nick Saban had said it. He said, well, Saban is no longer in the facility. So, and he's off premise.
Yes.
So it really doesn't matter what he has to say.
Yeah.
And then Milroe said, well, everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Yes.
So they're not going to eat that rat poison and let Saban's comments, do anything about their season.
Yeah.
And that's right.
Yeah.
Because anything can happen between then and there.
Yeah.
And then I thought that DeBoer talking about the folks that somebody had a great line too, that they said he's never recruited south of Carbondale, Illinois. He's a northern boy.
Yeah.
Washington, South Dakota. And so, how he's adapting to Southern culture. And I love this line. Somebody asked him, so what's been your biggest adaptation, or what have you noticed most about Southern culture? And he said, I sweat a lot.
Yes. Hot. Yeah.
Well, wait till he comes back and plays in Texas at some point.
Yeah.
You'll really find some sweat down here.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, and then, Sark talking about, that, there's now an obsession. I thought that's a really interesting word to use.
I like that.
There is an obsession at Texas with winning.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really interesting word to use. But, Texas has been so, I don't know, just kind of do kind of playing along here to get that kind of intensity and obsession and fire in the belly is something that Texas has really needed. And I think that's what Texas needs to put them over the top. I mean, look, they were 2 plays away from being undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan Gabriel drives the ball down the field for Oklahoma, beats him in the last second. If Quinn Ewers completes that pass to A.D. Mitchell, they win the ball game there, last play of the game.
Yeah.
So it was that close.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of what I saw today. And you know what? Let's not forget about Jeff Lebby at Mississippi State.
What do you think about him? He's 2 years with Brent Venables at Oklahoma, but he was with Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. And why does everybody always try to ask questions like, wonder what his relationship's like with Lane Kiffin? And they always try to make that. I'm like, they coached together for 2 years. Why wouldn't they? I mean, who doesn't want their assistants to get a head coaching job? It's easy to get guys when they know, hey, I'll come there 2, 3, 4 years, get a head coaching job. You wish them well.
I mean,
good karma.
Yeah, unless they got their butt fired for something bad.
Yes, which
you want to leave on good terms he left for a better position.
Yeah. Head coaching job in the SEC. I'll take it.
Exactly.
Right now.
But I liked Lebby. He is just standing up there, just beaming. He was just, did y'all notice that? He was just so happy, but again, he's also undefeated at Mississippi State.
Honeymoon.
That may not last long either.
Yeah.
Because that Texas's first SEC game is Mississippi State in Austin.
Yeah.
Right there in September. So he may not be undefeated for long.
Yeah. And Mississippi State, they're always going to give you a full 60.
Oh, yeah.
But they don't, talent-wise, they're down there in probably 14, 15, 16 range. Vanderbilt stands alone at the bottom. But they're going to be fun to watch. They should win their non-conference games, I would think. They'll surprise somebody. Last year, they were so bad with Zach Arnett.
I know.
I know. I mean, when their games would come on, it would say, viewer discretion advised. Don't watch. It was really bad. Did you see anything about anybody? Okay, we talked about Texas, talked about Alabama, and then you got Florida. And Tony Barnhart will be on here in a second. We're going to bring you back. But tell me this. What about what Billy Napier said or didn't say caught you?
Well, if he was sitting in this seat would be on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, he is in the hottest of all hot seats.
Yeah.
And he's got a tough schedule. Florida also comes to play Texas.
Yep.
I think you boys are coming down for that game, and I'm taking y'all to Cisco's, my favorite Tex-Mex breakfast joint.
Yeah.
So, he's really he kept talking about, we're close. Well, as we both know, and I've heard you say it on this show, that's only in cigars and hand grenades. So
horseshoes and hand grenades.
So SEC being close doesn't cut it.
Yeah.
But I heard him say that a couple of times. I go, well, that's good. I'm glad you're close, but I think you're going to have to win some more games this year to keep your job.
Yeah. Well, I asked him about getting caught up in logo fever. Your first 7 games are kind of one season. Then that last 5, you got to play Georgia, LSU. You got to play Texas, Ole Miss, and Florida State. And it's Texas November 9th. Then you got, again, Ole Miss November 23rd and Florida State at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Say it again, Martha and the Vandells, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Here's a question. The $1 million question Texas has to answer. How are they going to handle the weekly grind? I mean, in the SEC, you host Georgia and you go on the road, play LSU. You come back home and you host, if you're you go play at Florida. But Florida guys know what they're signing up for.
Well, and like the Navy SEALs say, there's no easy day.
Easy day.
The
only easy day was yesterday.
That's right. The only easy day was yesterday.
Yeah. So
I think Sark said it. It's depth.
Yeah.
And not not on the offensive and defensive lines. You got to have depth. I mean, how would you like to have depth at quarterback and your second string quarterback is Arch Manning?
That is nobody has that luxury.
He's got 7 deep at wide receiver. Sark does. He's got 5 deep at running back. So, it's going to come down to injuries. It's going to come down to all kinds of different things, So, it's just going to be very interesting. But I did see one other thing that Saban said today. And, Saban's really not – I mean, he's going to Feinbaum's going to start getting mad because, Saban's getting all the pub now for all of his little tidbits he's knocking out. But he said today that his sleeper team is LSU.
Really?
Yes,
well,
he did.
Bo Davis leaving Texas as defensive line coach. He knows how good Bo Davis is. And isn't Kevin Peoples on that staff now at LSU?
Mm-hmm.
You got Kevin Peoples, Bo Davis, Pete Jenkins at 84, still like in an advisory role as a defensive line coach at LSU. Well, Matt House last year was an abject disaster as LSU's coach on defense. Coming from the NFL, didn't know come here from Sikkim. But LSU being a sleeper this year, Garrett Nussmeier, he's no Jaden Daniels.
Right.
What about LSU? I mean, Brian Kelly has had 7 consecutive seasons of 10 or more wins.
Yeah.
Is he going to keep that streak alive this year, in your opinion?
I think. Well, what does Vegas say? I don't know what Vegas says, but I bet he's between 9 and 10 on the Vegas win chart. But the other thing I thought too that was interesting, and I thought when Sark said this, it really made me remember my old days growing up in Austin as a wee lad.
Yeah.
Texas is now going to have on their schedule 3. Not many people most people have 1 rivalry game on their schedule. Texas is now going to have 3 rivalry games again on their schedule, like they had in the Southwest Conference. They're going to have Oklahoma. Well, Oklahoma was always a non-conference game, okay?
It was.
But now that's a conference game, just like it was in the Big 12. But now you're going to have Arkansas again, and you're going to have A&M. And that was just a regular old schedule back in the Southwest Conference. But to have to play all 3 of those teams, that's going to be, it's going to be great for the fans. And think about it, Texas. You think Texas, they have an easy schedule. Okay, they play Arkansas in Fayetteville. They play A&M at Kyle Field, and they play Oklahoma, about 3 miles, east of here. None of those games are at home this year.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the grind. That is going to be a grind,
and that's what's going to get people. You have to go way back in the late '80s when the SEC played a 6-game schedule. And, I can remember Auburn in 1987, non-conference schedule. Opening game Labor Day weekend was Texas. They also played non-conference against Kansas, against Georgia Tech. They were pretty good in 87. Also non-conference, Florida State. And the last 4 games of the 87 season for Auburn were Florida, Florida State, Georgia, and Alabama. Now, Florida and Florida State were back-to-back in Auburn. You went to Georgia on the road, and then you played Alabama at the allegedly neutral site of Legion Field.
Right.
When the people parking the cars and selling the tickets and selling the hot dogs are all wearing Alabama stuff, I'm not sure if it was really neutral or not. As Coach Dye would say, if it was 4th and 1 at Legion Field, he goes, you better get 3. Now, here's a debate, and we're going to have Tony Barnhart on. We're trying to get the link into him.
You got to tell him it's from me, not you.
Oh, yeah.
I just told you that.
I can't. Yeah, go ahead and let him know. Here's the thing.
Just tell me when to move.
I'm going to brush his teeth in a minute.
Yeah. Okay. But when I think about it, the rivalries, I didn't see Cole Kubelik and Dusty Dvorak talking. Apparently, they got pretty intense talking about these rivalries. And Oakley, I don't know if you saw it or not, but Oklahoma, Texas, Florida, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, which of these, that kind of talk can be fun. Let's not take ourselves too seriously. But you question Oklahoma and Texas fans getting together under the same tent.
No. No.
What is the deal? Is it, that SEC, we, in spite of our rivalries, we all live together. We're married to one another. Texas and OU people don't associate with one another?
Not really. And, Sark brought up today, but it is different with Texas and Texas A&M. That rivalry splits families.
Yeah.
That's like the Civil War.
Yeah.
Some of the kids go to A&M, some of the kids go to Texas.
Yeah.
You can't talk on Thanksgiving weekend about it. And then Arkansas, and that was what somebody brought up today too. that, okay, if you ask, okay, Texas has not played well, they played Arkansas 3 years ago now, but they haven't regularly played Arkansas or A&M for years. That Arkansas and A&M still puts Texas at the number one position as their most hated rival.
Yeah.
They haven't
It is.
played them in years.
Yeah.
And then you've got Oklahoma, of course, where Texas is their most hated
Yeah.
rival.
Oh, yeah.
So there you've got 3 hated rivals, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun. But boy, what a lot of pressure on Texas,
Yeah.
And but it's going to be great. And my wife and I and another couple, when Texas was behind, we went up there to see Texas play Arkansas, and this was the 2005 season when Texas was trailing Arkansas, and Vince was the quarterback.
Yeah.
And Vince, of course, being Vince that year, led some massive comeback, and so Texas won. I tell you what, we got the hell out of that stadium, got in our rent-a-car, and drove about 90 miles an hour out of Fayetteville to drive back to, I forget where we flew. I think we flew out of Tulsa to come back to Dallas.
Yeah.
But we didn't hang around there. And again, the Arkansas people weren't inviting us to their tent.
No.
To have a cold beverage and a couple of post-game hot dogs or anything. They were ready to kill the Texas fans.
Yeah. Those are more, these rivalries, when you go out west, I mean, you can't help but think of Gunsmoke. Gunfight at the OK Corral. Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma, Texas A&M. That's the West. You're making a good point, but when Florida plays November 9th at Texas, you've got the top 2 states in America for high school football.
Right.
California is right there.
There's
1 or 2 player difference, but a lot of these California kids are going east. They're coming here to play. But with the Big Ten, UCLA and Southern Cal, just by default, ought to be able to keep a bunch of good players in the
You'd
state.
think.
I would think too. Let me say this. We are here thanks to the generosity of our great sponsors. Check them out on the website, sidelines.live, like Hewlett and Dunn, Matei's Garage, The Vitamin Shop, RumbleBoxingGym.com. How you fight is how you live in Memphis, 1835 Union in Midtown. Also, Web-Footed Kennels, Jonesboro, Arkansas. If you are in the market for a prime hunting dog, elite, the best hunting dogs, the best breedings, the best litters anywhere. My friend Chris Aiken, known him about 30 years. Check out Web-Footed Kennels. Find them on Facebook in Jonesboro, Arkansas. And I got to tell you, he's a hardcore duck hunter, but he is a great trainer. He's got about 10 people working on the staff. Your dog's going to get a ton of attention. I'm getting my next dog from him, Gaddis Home Innovation. If you're putting in a man cave, security cameras, a home office, everything, anything involving technology and video security, GaddisHomeInnovation.com. Check them out on our website. And Chad House, ECS House Industries, located in Cherry Valley, Arkansas, 99,000 square foot warehouse. All this farm equipment that you see, the better roller, the pulverizer, the better chopper, but really they make the aerators for the catfish farms. You like a good catfish sandwich? You can thank the folks in Cherry Valley, Arkansas at House Industries, houseindustries.inc.com. Look, tomorrow, we're going to get into, you've got starting off tomorrow morning. It's a different, you got Arkansas
and A&M.
You got A&M, you got Auburn, and you got Kentucky. So, you don't see the fans in the lobby like you did traditionally with the SEC schools in Birmingham, Hoover,
Birmingham,
Atlanta, Nashville. And we're going back to Atlanta next year. They'll be back. Okay? Tony in?
Tony's in.
Okay. All right. So we're going to come back. We're going to pick up on that in just a second. Okay? Tony Barnhart with us right now. Tony, wish you were here. Everybody's asking about you. Hope you're doing better. But you've been watching all this. I know you've been taking copious notes and making a lot of observations. So I'm going to hand the ball off to Mr. College Football, one of my favorite people in the college football world's ambassador. Welcome to Sidelines.
Well, Rob, it's always good to be with you, and this tells me it's getting time for another football season. And this is going to be what I've told people is this is going. I'm not going to promise it's going to be the best college football season ever, but I am going to promise you it's going to be the most interesting college football season we've ever had, starting from the new SEC scheduling model, no divisional play for the first time in 25 years or so. 12-team college football playoff, biggest story surrounding college football this year. What's going to happen in Tuscaloosa and the changing of the guard there, saying goodbye to the GOAT, and what's that going to be like? So there's just so many great storylines up in the air. This will be the most interesting season we've had.
Tony, it was interesting when Kalen DeBoer spoke when we got a chance to talk to the Alabama players. I was talking to Tyrone Booker, one of their offensive linemen, and several people asked him about Coach Saban, and he said, "Well, Coach Saban is he's outside the building now. He's an external factor." And I'm like, external factor? How do you think Nick Saban feels, Coach? You're the GOAT, but you're an external factor. And they were all smiling when he said it, not being disrespectful, but I've been watching Coach Saban in the back, standing about 10 feet from them on the set of SEC Network. I wanted to make a point to check the body language, and he's up there with the panels, and every coach mentions him about he's still going to be influencing the game. And I think they do it, and he looks and goes, "Oh, I am." And goes, kind of like, I thought I was retiring, but so far it's been a lot of fun watching him. He's still like Coach say, there's nothing different about him. It's just that he's not up there coaching a team.
Right. He's not coaching a team, but he is going to be contributing to the Alabama football program. And frankly, he's going to be contributing to college football in his work with ESPN and College Game Day. I mean, he has a very unique feeling about the game. He's always been somebody who cares about the game as a whole. He's always been that way. And so I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun watching him. It really is. And oh, by the way, when he didn't get his credential yesterday, they didn't let him in because he didn't have his credentials, I just said, "Coach, welcome to our world."
That's right. Well, is that Coach Bryant at the Liberty Bowl in '76 tried to get in, and I remember hearing that story from George Lapidus talking about the man there. He was a legendary guy that ran. You had to go through him to get on that elevator. And he said, "Well, I got me." He goes, "Well, you got to have him or you can't come in." So it's happened before.
There you go.
So up to this point, something I thought was really neat to watch was when Kirby Smart got up there. When you keep winning the way they're winning at Georgia, there's an old term, you got to find excuses to win. He talked about the Nike Leadership Program, where you learn everybody's first, middle, and last name. He goes, "Let me tell you something. When you're out on that football field, you better know what that guy to your left or your right stands for, what he believes in, what his identity is." Talk about that, because Kirby's a young guy. He's like 40, 48, I think. I think he absolutely loves it. I'd love to talk to his father, Sonny Smart, great high school coach, but talk about Kirby Smart, year 9. Can you believe it?
No, I can't believe it. But we all felt, and I had a story and did a column this morning about Kirby Smart. And it's just about the fact that we knew he was going to be a great success. It's the family business. Sonny Smart was one of the great high school coaches in the history of the state of Georgia. And so I'm not surprised by his success. And besides, he worked for the greatest of all time for 11 years and soaked up all that knowledge and knew that Coach Saban had a lot to teach him. He brought up yesterday the fact that, with me coaching defense and him coaching a position, during the course of the year, almost every day, they ended up in a room alone together to listen to what Saban had to say. It's just a master class. And so I think Kirby Smart's in for a long, long run, and because he's not going to back off in recruiting, and that's what's fueling this football program.
It really is. I got a chance to ask Kalen DeBoer a question today just about growing up in South Dakota, and the embellishment there was, hey, you drove the bus, you did everything but sell tickets. And he said, "I did do everything but drive the bus." But growing up in South Dakota, D2, D3, and now he's at Alabama. And then, talk about how that compares to your predecessor, Nick Saban. He talked so much about growing up in Monongah, West Virginia. His dad at the gas station, do it, but do it right, son, over and over and over. Repetition's the mother of all skill. I thought it was a good answer he gave about how, it prepares you. I know what everybody's job is, and I appreciate everybody in this program. And, Tony, for the people that say, why would you take the job at Alabama? The reply from anybody with gray matter between their ears would be, why wouldn't you?
Right. I mean, you work all your life to get in position to have one of those jobs where resources are not an issue, and that you get the kind of support, and financial and otherwise, that you need. And so, those are the kind of people I like. They want a challenge, you know. It is just a situation where you have the opportunity to fulfill all your dreams. If what you want to do is coach, here's your opportunity. You win here, you win anywhere. And so I think you're right, Rob. You said, why wouldn't you take that job?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you take that challenge? And the thing that I spent a little time with Kalen DeBoer in Destin, and what I came away with was, here's a guy who is very comfortable in his own skin. Okay, he knows what he's all about. He knows what he wants to do, and he knows how he wants to do it. And he said something interesting yesterday, or today actually. He said, football is football.
Yeah.
Okay. If you can coach football at one level, you can coach at another. It's all about implementing the things that you believe in and implementing them well. And that's why I think he's going to be, the other, again, there are two big stories in college football this year. The two biggest are the 12-team playoff and what's going to happen in Tuscaloosa.
Yep.
Those are the two biggest stories, and the ones we're going to have our eye on all year long.
Yeah, it is. I got to meet General Clark with Brett Daniels, who's taken over from Mr. Bill Hancock. And after he addressed us this morning in the main media room, he said, don't call me General. First thing I said to him was, you work your you-know-what off to get to be a 3-star general. I said, you will always be the general to me, and we're looking forward to having him on the show soon. But he goes, I'm so lucky to have this. This guy absolutely is bouncing off the walls. It's so great for college football. And I go back to something that you've said many times on SEC Sidelines, Sports Network, and SECU with us on the Buddy Martin Show. You say it over and over. Not even the adults can screw it up. Tony,
Right.
What's crazy, though, is not seeing you here in your coat and tie, which you wear out of respect to great writer Furman Bisher. But I will say this. Scott Rabelais is keeping the tradition alive. Stats Norsworthy, several people, but I've had Ken Capps and Bo Carter and so many people here. Man, everybody asks, "How's Tony? How's Tony?" Ready to get you back. You are Mr. College Football, but I'm so excited to have General Clark running the College Football Playoff Committee. Have you had a chance to talk to him yet?
I have not had a chance to talk to him. Obviously, it's very exciting to have somebody of that caliber be involved in college football. So I look forward to meeting with him.
You remember Mr. Schiller, General Schiller from the Air Force?
General Harvey Schiller reporting for duty, sir. Yes,
That's
sir.
right. And remember in the late 80s when he famously said, look, I just looked in the NCAA rule book, and it doesn't say anywhere that we cannot have a divisional format in a conference championship game.
Right.
And I told General Clark, the last guy that came from the Air Force, General Schiller, I'm looking for the same kind of stuff out of you. But this is the big, Herb Vincent from the SEC office said it's the largest over 1,200 credentialed media here. Tony, you look at the enthusiasm of college football. It's still all about the stories. I absolutely love it. I'm reading your book, The 19 of Green, all the stories about your teachers, how you found 15 of the 19 guys on your team. That's what seems to be the case. And I try to, every young person, our intern, Oakley McFerrin's with us. He's 18. He'll be a freshman at Auburn. History, traditions, and heroes. I just think there's a reverence in the SEC for that stuff, don't you?
No, there's no question. And I think that's something that people who come into the league will understand. But yeah, the traditions mean a great deal to us, which is why I've been pretty adamant in the conversations about 8 or 9 conference games. The reason I want 9 conference games is that's the way we preserve Auburn, Georgia every
Yes.
year. Okay. If
Yes.
we don't, if not, and it's real simple. If we don't go to 9 games, we don't have Georgia, Auburn every year. And you know what else we don't have every year? Either Texas A&M or Texas, Oklahoma. You can't play them both.
Yes.
Okay. You can't play them both every year. So,
Tony, we got to have 9 games. We absolutely because Auburn, Georgia, as an Auburn alum, you as a Georgia alum, that's first cousins. I mean, I talked to my friend Ralph Jordan Jr., Suge's son. His godfather is Wally Butts. Okay, so it's and the Dooleys and the Jordans had places down at Amelia Island right next to one another.
right.
If you are an Auburn man or a Georgia man of our era, there's absolute respect, reverence. Having you, Lauren Smith, Lauren, what do you got? We got to preserve it. What other stories to this point, great takeaways from SEC Media Days? 12 of the 16 have come up there. Are you writing about or going to write about that really got your attention?
Well, I just think that it's just the host of great quarterbacks that we're going to have in this league. The best quarterback in college football is Carson Beck at Georgia.
Yeah.
But you look after that, look at all these other guys. The kid at Missouri, the kid at Texas. He's a great story, just for the fact that the whole world thought that Arch Manning was going to beat him out, and you know what? He didn't.
Yeah.
He played great.
Yeah.
And I am going to be Coach Saban picking Georgia and Texas to win the SEC championship. I thought that I agree. Number one, I'll be very surprised if it's not Texas and Georgia, but there's going to be so many storylines that develop throughout, and it will start with great quarterbacks.
It really will. And one thing today, I talked to Graham Mertz, Florida's quarterback, in one of the breakout rooms, and someone said I asked him about his growth as a player from when he got there from Wisconsin to this point. And he talked about it, really good job of it. But he said, I got a message it said DW when I got there. I'm like, who's this? The guy said, dude, that's Danny Warfel. Go see his statue out in front of the stadium. And he said, all of a sudden, I'm like, wow, these guys really embraced me. And he said, I hear he's here today. I can't wait to see him and give him a big bear hug. As soon as I'm walking down Media Row, I look up, there's Danny Warfel and Mr. Mertz. That was really cool. Talk about the history, the traditions, the heroes that make this conference so special, because you do such a great job of chronicling that. And that's why the more we know about this conference, the more we love it.
The other day I was talking to a guy we were talking about great running backs in the history of the conference. I said, whoa. I said, look, young writer, let me just set you straight. When it comes to running backs in this conference, it's Herschel and it's Bo, and then there's everybody else. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. You don't, there's no debate about that. They are tremendous football icons.
Yes.
We have icons in this conference. And just the fact that this conference has always set the tone for change, for evolution. You talked about Harvey Schiller. A lot of people don't know that Harvey Schiller originally sort of thought up the idea of divisional play. Then, of course, Roy Kramer made it happen.
Yes.
But the SEC has always been innovative, and because of it, they have really led the way. Same thing here as we sit there and contemplate what's going to be the next evolution of college football. What's it going to look like? We're going to have 20 teams, 26 teams. What is it going to be? The SEC has led the way on that because, if you ain't leading, you're in a bad shape, my friend. So I just like the fact that the SEC has always been innovative. They always have been ahead of the curve, and they're ahead of the curve now.
Yeah, and I thought opening morning remarks by Commissioner Greg Sankey about being in Dallas, welcoming Oklahoma and Texas. Somebody asked, why are we in Dallas? And I gave that question the Darwin Award. Okay, you know what I mean?
Duh, it's a duh.
Yeah. Why I've been to Austin been all over Oklahoma. You talk about a fit, and that's one thing you and I talk about so much is college football is a big deal everywhere that you go. It's so personal. And Ivan Mazel on the show a couple of years ago said it's about loving the love of the laundry. And
Hmm.
that is so special. And it's also the relationships. I mean, I go to Auburn, Georgia game. There are people that I've been seeing for 50 years at these tailgates. And, hey, man, we're going to go at it on the football field, but it ain't ever going to affect friendships with us. We get a little bit
Right.
frustrated. I've got a Vol for life as a wife. Alabama grad is my oldest daughter from St. Pius X in Atlanta. Shout out to the Mad Italian there in Dunwoody. I'm hungry right now. but Tony, and then everybody else in my family's Auburn. But that's what makes it so special. Now, Ken Capps, we just talked about it before you came on, said, I can't see Texas and OU fans getting together under the tent and hanging out and eating hot dogs and drinking a cold beer together. But don't you think it won't take much time for them to realize, hey, man, this is a family and we brought you
Mhm.
in and you're welcome to the table. How about that?
That's right. That's right. I think, listen, I promise you, when the Texas and Oklahoma fans start going to the SEC venues,
Yeah.
they are going to be. Well, I go back to 2017 when Georgia went to Notre Dame. That was a tremendous transition game
Yeah.
for this conference. Okay, and people got a chance to see a new part of the country, and they had a chance. They were greeted by the Notre Dame people with open arms.
Yeah.
And they were feeding them food and handing them drink. Hey, we're glad you're here.
Yeah.
Going to be the same thing in the SEC for Texas and OU. They're going to be welcomed and realize this going on the road in this league is something special. That's not easy.
Yes.
Not easy to win, but going on the road in this league is something really special. And it's not just the fact that you play Alabama this week; it's the fact that you play Texas A&M next week, and you play Ole Miss next week,
Yeah.
and that's what makes it so special.
Well, again, the new theme song for the SEC network with all these rivalries ought to be Martha and the Vandellas, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
That's right.
Okay, Mississippi State plays at Texas for the first game. Talk about that atmosphere. Tennessee plays at Norman for the Sooners' first SEC game. Kind of talk about that. And then that Oklahoma, September 28th, plays at Jordan-Hare. Now, having been to a lot of games at Jordan-Hare, I think of December 2nd, 1989. That's the standard. But
Right.
I got to think, Tony, that when the Sooners come to Auburn September 28th, it may be close to when the Beatles came to JFK in 64. It's going to be not just big, as Ed Sullivan would say, it's going to be a really big shoe.
Well, are you suggesting that our friends from Oklahoma will receive a warm welcome
Absolutely.
to Jordan-Hare Stadium?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they will learn that it is different. Well, I tell a little story. When Missouri joined the league,
Yes.
I went to bunch of us went to their first game in the conference with Georgia.
Yes.
And we like to get there early. All of us do, and talk, enjoy the press box and all that kind of stuff. So we get there. It's 3 hours before the game, which is about when we do it. We get there. Security guard was there and said, "I'm sorry, fellas, I can't let you in. I can't let you in until it's 3 hours before the game." Chip Towers of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution,
Yes.
a guy I hired, who I think the world of, he said, "Hey, buddy, you got to understand that ain't gonna cut it in the SEC."
Yeah.
And he let us in.
I love it, man. Well, there's so many storylines and man, I'm looking forward to getting you back on. And everybody in Memphis is counting the days till you kick off the college football season. But Tony, we're blessed to know you. You love college football. You're such a gifted writer. Let people know how they can follow you, keep up with all the great work that you're doing, and tell them how they can get a copy of the book, The 19 of Green. Because, Commissioner Sankey said, you go to Hoover and you see Tennessee fans under a tent with Auburn and Alabama fans, Georgia fans under a Florida tent with South Carolina fans. He said, America, given the current climate, the temperature, needs more of what college football brings to the table. And talking to Mr. College Football is, to me, like winning the $1 billion jackpot lottery. So thanks for being on with us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, the book, The 19 of Green, is about my senior year of high school. I played on the first ever integrated team, but it's about story about 19 young men who came together and put a season together. It's really not about football. It's about the fact that 52 years later, a bunch of us guys are still in touch, and
Yeah.
our black quarterback Charles Turner remains to this day one of my very best friends. It's about learning and all of that. The Our column, we're still at TMG College Sports. We are now happily, I'm proud to report, under the Athlon umbrella.
Yeah.
Just go to Athlon, or do a Google search on uh, uh, tmgcollegesports.com, and it'll be there. And Herb Gould of the Chicago Sun-Times, Mark Blaushin, longtime writer with the Boston Globe, is on there, and we just have fun. Let's put it that way.
Hey, look, it's True Grit journalism, alive and well. Tony, get better again. Can't wait to get you back on here again soon. It's as good as it gets. It's better than anything talking college football. As you say, not even the adults can mess it up, man. And we'll be back in Atlanta next year. So maybe you've been to every one. It's the first one you missed since 1987. But again, love having you on. Thanks so much.
Well, let me do it and doing one last plug.
Oh,
I'll be in Memphis on August 26th.
Yeah.
Doing my preseason preview and doing a book signing there at the Touchdown Club of Memphis. So
absolutely, Harold Grader's here, and I mean, you kick off the season, and I got to tell you, you do so much for college football, and you do so much for Memphis. And I'm on a personal mission to bring in a bunch of new members because we have great speakers. When you kicked it off last summer, August 28th, it's just unbelievable when you're there. You know it. People respect you. But again, it's always great having somebody that shares our vision and a love for the game. So appreciate it so much. And again, folks, follow Tony Barnhart. He is Mr. College Football. He's the real deal.
All right. Take care, Rob.
You too. Thank you. All right. We are going to bring in a new guest. George, let's bring you in here. I got to tell you, what your last name?
Somerville.
George Somerville you're from Scotland.
Yep.
But we're going to get you are over here right now. Your group is called The Touchdown.
Yeah.
And you talked about, and I've traveled over Europe and the UK. Soccer, we know how big it is over there. But 95% of the South, the people that settle the South, are Scotch-Irish descent. And there's a great book I told you about, James Webb wrote, Born Fighting. We love a good fight. We love our whiskey, and we love college football. Welcome to SEC Media Days. Come on up here a little bit closer so we can hear you. But let's talk about college football and its growth over in the UK, because I think it's the greatest game in the world. They call football soccer over there. We call football football.
Yeah, I mean the game is growing significantly. We talked this morning when we met, and the game is growing significantly now on the back of the success of the NFL.
Yeah.
Right? That's how most people get into the game overseas, and it's not just the UK; it's all across Europe.
Yeah.
As we've seen, the number of regular season games that Europe is getting for the NFL. And I guess there's a logical progression after that, which is people want more of the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
They want to understand a little bit more, and either through the draft, which is a huge event for the UK fans, they absolutely love it, or coming here on vacation, which is kind of how I picked up on college football. You get that kind of, well, what is this? So people who are maybe in Orlando or Florida, maybe they might be going to Tampa Bay game, but then they find out the UCF are at home or whatever, and then they just go. And the moment that you get into that, I think you start to understand the greater appeal of college football, because there's a much greater appeal to that game. Yeah.
Well, the loyalty. You think about soccer fans in the UK with Arsenal and Man United. You pick the city. It's on another level. Talk about the fierce loyalty and pride that the soccer fans and then the ones that follow the NFL and college football have, because I think we can definitely relate to that in the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, I think these are traditions and rivalries, and I think the soccer club that I follow in the UK is, it was founded in 1873, right?
Wow.
But then you look at some of the universities that are here in the States, and when they started playing football, some of them were starting to play football in the 1800s also,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So you've got that where the NFL is relatively new in comparison to that. So you've got these deep-rooted ties and rivalries. So if you take something like Auburn and Alabama, then that immediately translates across to me to Glasgow Rangers, Glasgow Celtic,
Wow.
or Liverpool and Manchester United, right?
Yeah.
So there is a real direct comparison there, and I think we talked this morning about the NFL can be something of a sterile corporate product.
Yeah. It can.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not to say it's not
Yeah.
exciting,
Oh,
but,
yeah, I
but
agree.
it can be. It's polished, I think. Whereas when you get to college football, it's everything else, right?
Yeah.
It's storied, the passion, the atmosphere, everything. So if you've gone to a soccer game and you've grown up like I have watching soccer, you're looking for something that gives you that. And with the best will in the world, I know, Globe Life Field's down the road.
Yeah.
Baseball's not going to give you that until the playoffs.
Correct.
So there's
Yeah.
a lot of the games which are relatively slow paced. I think there's a perception in outside of the US that US sports can be slow paced at times, right?
Yeah.
But college gives you all of that, and I think that's where there's a natural buy-in. And when people get to it, like me, I picked up on college football. I came to the SEC relatively late. I came to the SEC probably close to 10 years ago, and as soon as I saw it, I was hooked on it because you just get everything that you want.
Yeah. Well, and there's probably 1 million U.S. expats just in and around London. And I know when I've traveled overseas, I remember in college, I would take out my wallet and show pictures. I'm not kidding, of Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn, Sanford Stadium at Georgia, Neyland Stadium in Knoxville. And I said, these are shrines. And people make 7 or 8 pilgrimages a year to these shrines. And it's amazing. Like Coach Saban was in Italy last year on vacation. And he said all over Italy how many roll tides he got. And you think about the people, you're from Glasgow in Scotland, and London, like, again, so many Americans there. But again, that connection, it's a cultural thing. I think it is with college football. It's so personal. The fans, I have several friends from England and from Scotland, from Ireland, from Wales, and they catch on to college football quickly. It seems like it's easier for them than people in other countries because there's so much pride in your local village, and how the Royal Regiment, and I just think it's a natural marriage.
Yeah, and people want to pick up on that. They want to, I mentioned this before to you. People want to support something. They don't want to go into generic. I'm just going to follow whatever game's on. I'm going to pick a team.
Yeah.
They want to find a team to support, and then when they find that team support, they're there, right?
Yeah,
They've got the jersey, they've got the whole thing. Then they're looking for, and I think I'm now starting to see. I was at Media Days last year. I'm now starting to see the schools cotton on to that idea.
Wow.
I think a couple of years ago when we were, ringing around schools or messaging them, they weren't getting there's life outside of the US. I don't mean that in a disingenuous way, but
I got you.
I don't think they could see the opportunity. We back home in the UK, we've got a few independent retailers who bring in merchandise from the States, and we were talking to one at the start of this year, and they were saying that the demand for college football merchandise outstrips NFL by 3-1 at the moment, which is, so if you start talking to LSU and Texas and Alabama about that, then it makes sense from not just a marketing, and in fact, I think listened to Garrett Nussmeier the other day.
Yeah.
He was talking about LSU as a brand.
Yes.
Right. Now, we know college football is going through a monetary phase, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
But if you can see that there's an opportunity, and that's on the back of just so many people wanting to watch college football.
Well, you think the Wall Street Journal 3 years ago in July, when it was announced in Birmingham that Oklahoma and Texas were going to come to the SEC, they rated the brand values of Texas. It was $1.18 billion at the time. Alabama, $1.08 billion. Georgia, $972 million. Oklahoma, $952 million. And Auburn was fifth at $872 million. And it is just, they've only gone up in
Mhm.
value. But there's in Old Town Jerusalem, over in the Middle East near the birthplace of Christ, there is an Alabama store, souvenir store in Old Town Jerusalem, and you can get anything you want, Alabama. So I think that's cool. College merchandise outpaces the NFL 3-1. Go back. You referenced this morning at breakfast. That was really a cool point. When you started, you were the only writer. Now there's 13 or 14 writers covering college football.
Yeah.
All right. First off, when are they coming over here? Because everybody's going to want y'all coming to the tailgate because they're going to want, my barbecue's the best, my brisket's the best, my wings are the best. That's the best, turnip greens or possum pie, whatever. When are you coming? What's your schedule looking like this fall? Because everybody wants to entertain. We love to entertain in the South, but you're our people, and you're look at the names around here. I mean, there's the movie Braveheart describes college football in the South. The SEC fans were those folks with a blue face paint on the other side of the deal. William Wallace, he was an SEC fan. I'm sure he was, and always will be. I am William Wallace.
Well,
It means more.
of all the things I thought I was going to be talking about, I didn't think I was going to talk about William Wallace, to be perfectly honest.
Oh, welcome to the show.
I'm ADD and OCD, and what were we talking about?
DCDC,
Yeah,
DCP, and
DCDC.
LSD.
That's right. But no, it's just, I love that is where all of our family's from. I'm from Galway Bay and County Donegal. I know exactly where my family came from. I think what you're doing with the stroke of pen, with writing, reading, where do we find what you write? And how can people find? Because I've got my friend Chef Roger Watson from Manchester
Okay.
that worked for Gordon Ramsay for 8 years. He is an Ole Miss fanatic. He has 5 Ole Miss helmets autographed, and every Ole Miss player that goes to Indianapolis, he cooks for them. He's absolutely eaten up with this stuff.
Yeah.
So how do we follow you?
It's pretty cool. So my written stuff is on a website in the UK called Touchdown. So it's the touchdown.co.uk.
Okay.
We've got, I guess most people know me through the podcast, which is the College Chaps. The podcast has gotten really popular. And one of the things that happened last year was I was somewhat taken aback by the number of people at SEC Media Days who listened to it. So the commissioner listens to the College Chaps. He's one of our subscribers.
Oh my God!
So
This is great.
you'll find us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, and then you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Geo Somerville, so you'll be able to find us there.
I got my executive producer here, who is just absolutely incredible, Brendan Martin.
The best.
He is the best. Can we bring him? Can we bring George on the SEC Sideline Sports Network and SECU? We would like to make you part of our network and get exposure for you and get people to start following you. And please don't make this your last visit. We want to get you back. The fact that you love the game that we love so much, that's like saying, that my kids looked you in the eye and when they shook your hand and said, yes or no, sir, yes or no. We take a lot of pride in the South. But where do you think we came from? We came from over there where you're from.
Yeah.
And now y'all are catching up with us. You're right. College football started November 6th, 1869, up at Rutgers 6, Princeton 4. My dad was there. There were 50 people, 25 on each side. And you think about college football, we're going into the 155th year. And our previous guest, Tony Barnhart, Mr. College Football, says, not even the adults can screw it up. David Whitley, the Gainesville Sun, great writer on the Buddy Martin Show, which will be on tonight after us. It's pretty much idiot-proof. When you go back after being – is this your first SEC Media Days?
No, I was here. I was in Nashville last year.
Okay.
Yeah, in Nashville last year. And I hope to be in Atlanta next year. So
you got to come.
God willing, I think I'll be across for the College Football Hall of Fame.
You got to come. Well, look, I'm going to bring in Bo Carter to wrap it up, but let me say thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
This means that people around the world love what we love so much. That's a huge vote of confidence and boost for us because, like Commissioner Sankey said, America needs more of what college football brings about. You get all these rival schools under one tent. Get your friends, bring them over here. They need to do a tour of the SEC schools. I think that would be. I think what you're going to start having is schools in the SEC adopting fan bases over in the UK. Let's make that happen. I think that would be absolutely.
That would be cool.
I don't think it would be
I
hard
think
for
you
the.
should have us come to London. And then, Rob,
No.
shut up. We need to go not here. We need to go there across the pond.
Yeah. When are we going to do the first games over
I
there?
was wondering when that was going to happen.
Are we-
Yeah, so
Are we gonna
We
move-
can make it happen. Me and Rob.
Are we going to move the Iron Bowl to Falkirk or
It's-
Bannockburn?
well,
I mean, what is
it's not as nearly attractive for me as it is for you guys, right?
Right.
So
We're going to play golf.
Yes, we're going to St. Andrews.
We're gonna get drunk.
What if they had SEC Media Days at St. Andrews? Wow. I mean, I could see anything. All right, look, I'll let you
Thank
go.
you very much.
Thank-
I appreciate
Hey,
that.
man,
Thanks a
we're
lot.
honored. Stick around here and watch it because I want to talk to you afterwards. Bo
Right.
Carter is going to come in here right now. Long time sports information director at Mississippi State, Southwest Conference Office, the Big 12. Just one of the genuinely good people in college athletics. And what it's all about is the relationships. You can't have trust without relationships, and you can't have relationships without trust. Watching you and Ken Caps is, I call Maury Gaston, our good friend, the Merv Griffin. It's like going out. He connects me with all these great guests. It's like being out in Hollywood on Rodeo Drive in the day with Merv Griffin, with everybody like Kelly Savalas. Who loves you, baby? Yeah, give me a call. Let's do lunch. George Somerville, that was awesome. I mean, we get him into Mississippi down in the Delta, over in Tunica or Itawamba or Greenville. They go, no, he ain't from around here, is he? He's from up there around North Mississippi. Look, how about that? How cool is that?
I'm getting on the Chaps podcast this week. I promise.
I am too.
I'm telling everybody I know, put it on Facebook and the whole
Yeah.
thing there, George.
This
great
is
job.
awesome.
Wonderful. So nice to meet you.
Yeah. Well, SEC Media Days. He's here second year. We're going back to Atlanta next year to the Omni downtown. That's going to be awesome. You've had a chance. You've had a chance to be around here all week long. I mean, meeting George, that is so cool. And again, Ken bringing him up here. You're here. We just had Tony Barnhart on. Again, your takeaways today. We started off Kalen DeBoer. Again, everything's good. We know that the kind folks in Tuscaloosa, they'll be so understanding if he loses a couple of games this year. They'll go, it's okay. It's his first year. I mean, we're just used to winning national championships every year. I mean, there'll be no pressure, will there?
It's a tough part. Nick Saban is on ESPN.
Yes.
And he's right. I will say this. He picked, I guess, Texas and Ole Miss.
Texas and Georgia.
Georgia, I'm sorry. He
Yeah.
didn't want to put
Hunker
pressure-
down, Bo Carter.
He
What do
didn't
you got,
want- I'm
Lauren?
sorry. He didn't want to put pressure on Coach DeBoer the
No.
first year. So he's going to, and his good friend Steve, he's putting it on his friend Steve
Yes,
Sarkisian, who
Yes.
doesn't need any more pressure applied. But no,
Yeah.
it's a tough job. And man, you look at the guy. What didn't the four guys that succeeded Bear Bryant? I think they had 4 guys in 12 years or whatever. So it's really
Yeah.
hard to follow a legend anytime.
Just don't take the tower down like Ray Perkins did.
Right.
And then Bill Curry, he had a relationship with the local bricklayers through his windows because he couldn't beat Auburn. No pressure here, though. But you think back to Gene Stallings. His first 3 games, he lost them all, 0-3. They ended up going to play in the Fiesta Bowl. Louisville beat them like 35-7, beat the hell out of them. The next year, here comes Alabama. They go on the road September 14th, 1991, Florida Field, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, and they get beat 35-0. Gene Stallings doesn't know what he's doing. I don't care if he sounds like the Bear. I don't care if he was a Junction boy. He doesn't know what he's doing. They reeled off 28 consecutive wins.
It's amazing.
What do you say if you're the sports information director, which you've been the close confidant of a lot of coaches over the years? What do you say to Kalen DeBoer if he loses a game he's not supposed to lose? And we know how kind the press corps in the state of Alabama is to Auburn and Alabama. What do you say to the coach? Like, here, they're going to come at you. No, you think the Yankees and the Mets, the Bronx press are tough? These people, they're really tough.
They're with you anytime. You go back and say the 2007 Alabama season, Louisiana Monroe beats Alabama in Tuscaloosa. And the next year in the offseason, Saban put pictures of the scoreboard on everybody's locker. True story, taped them there. Put "never again" at the bottom of it.
Yeah.
So I think that pretty much. And DeBoer, I think they'll give the guy a chance. Because
I do too.
He's won 104 out of 116 college games.
Yeah.
Going back to the University of Sioux Falls, but Fresno
Yeah.
State, Washington. The guy's a
Yeah.
real winner. I mean, he's organized to win,
Yeah.
and he knows how to motivate players.
Well, he does. And you remember Nick Saban's first year when they lost to La Monroe. He said, that was the most miserable day I can remember. He meets with the press, and it was horrible. He's the last person to leave the football building that night, goes out to his truck, and he gets in there, and the light's on. He's out of gas. He's like, God. So he pulls into a gas station on McFarland Boulevard, and his credit card won't work. The machine won't work. So he has to go inside, and he's got on a hat and glasses, and he's checking out to pay for his gas. And guy says, how you doing? And Saban says, fine. And he goes, how you doing? He goes, well, not too good. And he goes, what's wrong? He goes, well, Alabama, we ain't ever going to win a national championship with that sumbitch Nick Saban here. He goes, doesn't know what he's doing. And Saban said he had his glasses on. He goes, well, I know him. I think it's going to work out. True story. I mean, so now Mississippi State, Jeff Levy, he's there. Mississippi State people, the junction, the tailgating, they take a lot of pride. They're one of those, I call them a full 60 program. You better strap it on when you play them. Jeff Levy's been there. He's the son of Art Briles.
Yeah.
He's got a damn good pedigree.
Yeah.
What can people at Mississippi State expect out of him? He doesn't have a ton of talent this year, but he's going to put an offense out there that'll damn sure be entertaining, I think.
Going to be interesting. The whole team transferred on him last year. They had 2 starters returning and 53 new transfer portal or freshmen coming in. The guy's a great recruiter. If they'll leave him alone in a year or two, I mean, he'll have some. So in the state of Mississippi, you guys had great football talent.
God, yeah.
Even Memphis. Well,
17
Memphis
junior
area,
colleges.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he can pull from it. And they talked about that with the NIL, the junior college stuff has really kind of dropped off or whatever.
Yep.
I mean, you don't. I mean, they're great talent down there, but you've got your transfer portal personnel people.
Yeah.
So it's. I think the guy will get the job. He may win 6 or 7 games a year for a couple of years, but I think they're just looking for expectation level at Mississippi State's not like it is at Auburn or Alabama for sure.
But they've had a lot of success, and they've done it with junior colleges. Jackie Sherrill did it, but you can't go too heavy with junior college. We're going to wrap it up here. We just got a couple of minutes. We'll get you back on again soon. The last thing, media days tomorrow. And we're going to start off first thing tomorrow morning. You got Arkansas, Texas A&M, Auburn, and Kentucky. Anything that you want to ask any of those coaches, and we'll close out with that, about the coming season. Which of those coaches has the most pressure to win now? We know how kind the folks are in the SEC.
I think Sam Pittman really needs to have
Yes.
and really, and one of the all-time nice guys. You guys
He is.
remember Spike Dykes?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Spike Dykes had the great line. Among his stories, Ken's heard this. He said, "You lose 10% of your fan base and your following every year." He said, "I don't know how I stayed at Texas Tech for 12 years." So he defied the law of averages there or whatever too. But Sam Pitt, you got the great line of all time. He said, "Kids, don't listen to me on this." He said, "I'm going to go ahead and get a cold one after this game's over."
He goes, "Coach, how you going to celebrate this victory?"
I'm going to go get a cold one.
I think I'm going to have me a cold beer.
That's right.
Yeah,
so
that's it.
But no, Coach Pittman's under a lot of heat over there. They've going back to the Broyles era or whatever too. They've had great. Arkansas is like Vanderbilt. They're counting the SEC money at the end of the year, but they just had a tough time. Year in, year out competing. But I think about Greg Elko, obviously, or Mike Elko at A&M's going to, I think, do a good job. He's got talent. The guy knows how to win. He's a Pennsylvania grad. They have
I'll say this: the last guy that won 9 games at Duke did really well. His name was Steve Spurrier in Florida.
Yep.
So if you can win at Duke, you can win. And I know I just checked. I got the memo. They've got money and resources at A&M. Look, great stuff with everybody. Thanks to all of our guests. Thanks, everybody, for watching us. Smash the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner. Allow notifications on your Android. College football. Bring more people into your tent. Share some food and a cold beer with them. Things are going to get better. We'll see you Friday. We're going to take off tomorrow. We're going to be in transit, but we'll be back with you Friday from somewhere on the road again. See you then.
Dallas, Texas. SEC Media Days.
Wherever we are.
Oh, my God.
In a perfect world, you'd set a health goal and results would happen overnight. In this world, the real world, it takes time, dedication, and the right support to achieve your best self. The Vitamin Shop's health enthusiasts are here to make sure you're not wasting a single moment on the wrong supplements. From the highest quality sports nutrition and superfoods to the most sought after trends, you'll find a huge variety of science-backed solutions for every goal. And the people to help guide you along the path to greatness.
Unbelievably, every 2 minutes in our communities, a child is either bought or sold for sex. I am Ari Dickey, board member for the Nashville Anti-Human Trafficking Coalition. Join me and millions of others in our fight against human trafficking and for its victims by helping to educate the most vulnerable among us, our middle and high school students. Go to nhtcoalition.org, become a partner, and help keep our families safe, because none of God's children are for sale.
So important to shop local and to buy American. For 60 years, Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company has been on the historic Collierville Square, and we strive to sell made in the USA products when available. With over 7,000 pairs of Western boots and work boots in stock for men and women, come and see our huge selection of clothing, jeans, and accessories from top brands made in the USA. Please support local business and come shop with us at Hewlett.